everyone, my name's Julian Brigstocke. My chapter in this book is developing a geography of urban aesthetics that is really focusing on the imagination, the everyday, and the micro-political. I'm drawing on the political phenomenology of Hannah Arendt and really trying to emphasise an aesthetics of the city that goes beyond a sensory analysis of the city in terms of like the five bodily senses of touch and sight and listening and so on, and theorising the importance of a kind of a sixth sense, a sense that isn't connected to a sensory organ and doesn't itself generate sensation, but creates a distinctive feeling of realness, of kind of genuine sort of being in the world, of experiential depth. The empirical frame is a set of experimental urbanism projects around the Tijuana-San Diego international border that focus on using informal infrastructures crossing the USA-Mexico border to create new kinds of infrastructure and also new claims to the city and to a borderless world. So there's a ton of really interesting experiments going on around the USA-Mexico border, and obviously it's also a very troubled space. And a lot of these architectural and artistic experiments are trying to open the border up to encounters with plurality, with difference. And I would suggest trying to cultivate a richer, more plural sense for reality. So what do I mean by aesthetics? Well, I mean something more than sensory experience and also more than aesthetic judgment. Through a reading of Arendt's aesthetics and connecting it to ideas around cities, architecture, and the urban, my suggestion is that experimental, infrastructural, cross-border urbanisms can help to cultivate a kind of aesthetic sixth sense, a sense for reality, by embracing a culture of exposure to reality and plurality. So I'm trying to make an argument for the significance of urban infrastructure as not just kind of material stuff, but as a form of culture, something which carries meanings, which endures, and which gathers and expresses desires and fantasy. The key theoretical foundation is Arendt's idea of the sixth sense, or community sense, as a capacity to think and feel the world from the standpoint of others. And what I'm doing is connecting that to a particular way of thinking about the cities and their materiality. So the sixth sense isn't tied to sensory experience, it doesn't unite the senses, it's tied to imagination. It's an aesthetics that is tied to the capacity to occupy the perspectives of others. And this imaginative travelling amongst others, this makes the world feel more dimensional, more real, something that is shared in common. So this sixth sense is kind of mysterious because you can't actually sort of feel it, but it's also uniquely important. We don't have an awareness or a memory of its emergence, and yet it's the sense that in some way makes us fit for being in the world. So how does this make me sense? How does this help me make sense of the city? Well, by showing through the exercise of imagination how this can nurture a kind of exposure to plurality and to a feeling of realness. And on the other hand, on the flip side, one of the dangers of the contemporary moment is the dulling of this imaginative sense, which results in people isolating themselves from reality, seeking shelter from the challenges and provocations of a plural, heterogeneous world. And this arguably is one thing that leads to the more authoritarian political currents that are kind of dominating the political scene at the moment. On the other hand, the kinds of experimental urbanisms that I talk about in the chapter are a way of connecting to reality, to the sense of experiential depth in the world through the imaginative occupation of other people's perspectives and creating a kind of participatory infrastructure that endures and connects people through time.